My name is Alex. I'm 35, and throughout much of my grown-up years, I've held the view that honor in a partnership goes beyond spoken words. It's about the actions quietly permitted. My spouse Emily and I had been wed for 6 years. We were reliable, stable, nothing extravagant, but genuine. Or so I assumed. Emily was employed at a medium-scale advertising agency in the city center. Her supervisor, Marcus, was among those arrogant individuals who confused charisma with power. I'd encountered him on 2 occasions at office gatherings. Each time he'd gripped my palm with that added pressure, sufficient to demonstrate his dominance. The initial instance I overlooked it. The following one I observed how his palm rested excessively on Emily's arm as he presented us. She dismissed it with a chuckle, stated, "Oh, that's simply Marcus. He's affectionate with everybody." I remained silent. You discover as a guy to select your conflicts wisely, yet that detail lingered in my mind. Last Friday evening, her firm hosted a major connection-building occasion at an urban eatery. Emily desired my presence, claimed it'd be beneficial for appearances. I wasn't fond of such events, but I attended since she requested and because I aimed to back her up. She appeared stunning that evening. Graceful, self-assured, the sort of lady who could enter any space and command it. Upon arrival, she was promptly drawn into discussions with her colleagues. I grabbed a beverage, remained nearby, smiled courteously at strangers. Then Marcus emerged boisterous, grinning, behaving as if he controlled the venue. He clutched a wine glass and chuckled at a remark from one of the assistants when his gaze fixed on Emily. "Emily," he bellowed, extending his arms broadly. Before I could react, he drew her into an embrace. Not a short, businesslike one, but an extended, intimate one, excessively intimate. His palm hovered near her midsection, and she didn't precisely shove him off. Rather, she giggled. Uneasily, perhaps, but not sufficiently for others to detect. But I detected for a moment the area seemed to have fallen mute. My grip clenched on my glass. I observed as he bent close and murmured something in her ear that prompted her grin. One of those courteous, strained grins individuals employ when uneasy, yet feigning normalcy. I held back. I desired her to retreat to establish a limit. She didn't. She glanced toward me nearly as if to convey, "It's okay. Avoid causing a fuss." That glance, that presumption that I'd merely remain and comply, was the instant something within me disengaged. I didn't elevate my tone, didn't scowl, didn't create a disturbance. I merely placed my beverage down, pivoted, and departed. No theatrical statements, no farewell, just quietude. The journey home was serene, not due to rage, but because I was finished justifying fundamental dignity. I didn't message her. I didn't stir. I rested on my portion of the mattress and rose early, prepared tea, and proceeded with my Saturday as usual. Around 10 o'clock a.m., my device began vibrating. Initially, a message. "Alex, please contact me. I don't comprehend why you departed that way." Then another, "It wasn't what you imagine. Please, may we discuss?" I didn't respond. I wasn't keen on interpreting regrets that arrived belatedly. At midday, she returned home. Her cosmetics were blurred. Her eyes were swollen from weeping. She claimed she hadn't rested. I positioned in the cooking area, mixing sweetener into my tea, awaiting. "Alex," she uttered gently. It was merely an embrace. He's my superior. It would have been uncomfortable to withdraw. I regarded her and stated, "Emily, there's a distinction between courtesy and participation." She began sobbing anew, claiming I'd humiliated her, that individuals were inquiring after my exit. She insisted I'd exaggerated, but I didn't sense fury. I felt composed, overly composed, perhaps because the reality is I wasn't responding. I was recognizing how frequently I'd seen her rationalize minor matters. The messages late at night that were purely professional, the praises she deflected but inwardly relished. The limits she claimed weren't worth escalating. I wasn't envious. I was exhausted. She pleaded for me to hear. Stated she'd never intended to dishonor me. That Marcus was merely excessively amiable. I informed her I'd reflect on matters and stepped out for a stroll. I didn't know then what would occur the following day, but I sensed the narrative wasn't concluded yet. Sunday dawn arrived with that restless calm you experience when something's remained unspoken. The atmosphere in the residence felt burdened, as if even the barriers were anticipating the sequel. Emily hadn't joined in bed the prior night. I heard her shifting in the sitting area until late, likely practicing justifications in her thoughts. When I arose, she was perched on the sofa with her device in hand, eyes swollen, tone faint. "Alex," she began, "can we kindly converse?" I assented and seated opposite her. No wrath, no haste, just tranquility. She mentioned she'd phoned Marcus that morning, informed him his conduct had unsettled me, and that she preferred no further bodily salutations. She said he'd expressed regret and assured her he hadn't intended anything, but I didn't interject. I wanted her to continue speaking. Then she included something that altered the mood completely. After I contacted him, he claimed I was overreacting. He told me, "Perhaps your spouse is just uncertain." I observed her eyes as she spoke it. There was something altered in her expression. Not protectiveness this time, but awareness. She proceeded, her voice quivering. When I explained that what occurred wasn't proper, he chuckled, said, "If your partner can't manage an embrace, maybe he doesn't merit you." And then he disconnected. For an extended moment, we simply remained there. That's when she collapsed. I didn't perceive it, Alex. I assumed he was being cordial, but I believe he's been overstepping boundaries for months. And I permitted it because I didn't wish to create discomfort. Her statements struck deeper than anticipated, not because they justified anything, but because they were ultimately truthful. She said he'd been messaging her beyond hours, inquiring about her routine, praising her attire, employing small symbols that she dismissed as innocent. "I didn't want to risk my position," she murmured, so I disregarded it. I figured if I didn't reciprocate similarly, it wasn't improper. I inhaled deeply. "Emily, you can't dictate what another does, but you can dictate what you endure." She assented, weeping more intensely now. "You're correct, and I'm regretful. I thought you were inflating nothing. But when you departed and I witnessed his response, I understood you were the sole one in that space who honored me sufficiently to act without uttering a word." That phrase remained with me. The sole one who honored me sufficiently to depart. She resigned from her position 2 days later. No theatrics, no uproar, just a departure note and a subdued farewell. Her associates were astonished. Marcus uttered nothing. Evidently, a few others had begun murmuring about him as well. For weeks following, matters between us were altered. Not shattered, but delicate, like a fractured glass still mirroring something known. She was striving, maintaining eye contact, inquiring about my routine, extending for my palm. But there was a fresh variety of quietude between us, the type that follows after confidence has been challenged and scarcely endured. One evening, as we relaxed on the veranda, observing the light fade beyond the branches, she uttered something I hadn't anticipated. I once believed honor meant avoiding shouts, avoiding disputes, but now I comprehend it's about how we safeguard each other when nobody's observing. I regarded her the lady I'd nearly abandoned entirely, and for the initial time in weeks I perceived genuineness in her eyes. Not remorse, not dread, just comprehension. "I never wished to harm you," she said. "I simply didn't notice what I was permitting, and I conveyed the reality. I didn't exit that evening to penalize you. I exited because I required you to witness what quietude appears when honor departs the space." She assented, droplets sliding down her face, and for once I didn't halt her from weeping. Sometimes anguish must complete its voice before recovery can start. We're not flawless now. We still experience silent days. Still experience instances where one of us pauses before voicing. But there's a distinct form of serenity in our home now. A serenity that arises from knowing we confronted the reality and didn't flee from it. Emily began independent work after that. She said she didn't wish to labor anywhere that demanded her to chuckle at another's dishonor just to belong. I admired that. As for me, I discovered that resilience in a partnership isn't gauged by how vocally you can shield your companion, but by how serenely you can depart when they overlook your identity. The evening at that eatery didn't ruin our union. It exposed it. And sometimes exposure is the sole form of salvation that truly endures.